Hail to thee, brothers! I'm Brother Olrad, and this is my Conqueror guide and class assessment. Consider it a critique of sorts of the hero, and I'm hoping that this video will be beneficial to those of you that are picking it up for the first time or are longtime users. I also have a Twitch channel that I am growing slowly but surely, so if you would like to leave a follow, I would much appreciate your support. Now, without further ado, let us get into this. So the Conqueror is a defensive hero, and you would consider this to be a good thing considering the defensive meta, except for the fact that the defensive meta is based around parrying. And because of his inability to feint, his parries are more risky than other classes because they are more likely to be baited. However, he does have his superior block. Here's a chart provided by Quagon Jones on the forums. I will leave a link down below for your reference. However, to sum it up, the superior block only works on heavy attacks predominantly, and the zone attacks of a few foes. And with that, let's move on to some video. So here we have the infamous heavy into shield bash combo of the Conqueror. It is avoidable if you know the timings. I've even seen people get up off the wall. It is possible. And then here, I'm demonstrating the attack speed of light attacks from the Conqueror. They're fairly slow and easy to read. Even my friend here, being from Australia and me from the US, he is able to sight parry most of my light attacks. I find that it's extremely difficult to actually land the infinite combo. Generally, the second part of the chain is parried or blocked. Now here we have the light shield bash, mostly used for stamina abuse, and you can confirm a light hit off of it. However, it's somewhat unreliable. I'll go into that later. And here we have, out of the all block, the heavy shield bash, which is the same as the combo out of the heavy attack, which you can use to switch up and confuse people. Now here, the Conqueror actually has a deflect mechanic. If you dodge in a direction, your block will go that direction. You can follow this up with a light shield bash, and it allows you to open people up. It's not marked on the moveset. So, the Conqueror has the least heavy attack damage in the game per swing. We'll get into more on that later, but most of your damage would assumably come from your charge attacks. However, as you just saw, I was doing some normal guard breaks, and now as soon as I start using my charge attack, I'm no longer able to tech each of these guard breaks. And this is pretty kit-breaking to me, actually, considering the reactive play style of the Conqueror in general. Anybody can get up to your face and just kind of pull you out of your charge. It doesn't take much. You can't release the swing in reaction. I've tried on multiple occasions. Alright, so now we're going to show you the superior quote-unquote block. As you can see, my buddy Brassmoon here is using heavy attacks, which does give me the ability to confirm a guard break out of his attack as he staggers back from bouncing off my shield. It only really works on heavy attacks, and considering the meta with light attacks, which you are now seeing, the superior block really doesn't do much for you. In higher tier play, people don't use heavy attacks unless it's confirmed damage. So going back to the low damage thing that I was talking about earlier, it's a little bit of a misnomer that the Conqueror is considered a hard hitter within the description in the game. Without a charge attack, you're unable to bring down an opponent at low health, like the regen value, even off a guard break or anything like that. This is sort of difficult to deal with, especially against faster assassin characters in 1v1 duels and such things. When they have the ability to dictate range on you. And yet, every other class in the game has the ability to finish off of a guard break, except for the Raider, I believe, but he can do a light attack at least off of it. So moving on to what I consider to be the most challenging ability to use in this game, the superior block parry. The problem with this ability is, even if implemented seemingly correctly, the window is so small to actually score damage off the ability, because you have to counter in the direction that they swing from with an attack, and usually, if you don't time it right, their block comes up before the attack actually hits, even as a counter. So here's some slowed down footage. This first one's going to be a failure. As you can see, I did start up the attack, and it still hit me, so I guess it was too early, even though I was on startup frames technically. Now, this one was a little bit timed later, and as you can see, it does perfectly score some damage here. They are side by side at 15% speed. It gave you the idea anyways, but here are 3 successful attempts, one after another. Usually they only work against heavy attacks, light attacks. Usually they will just end up being blocked anyways. It's a fairly, really high-risk mechanic for not that much reward in the end. So, really, charging your attacks ends up being kind of a liability in a lot of senses. You find yourself in a situation where you're slowly losing stamina. They could guard break you for free at any time. Really, this ability shines if you're really good at reading your opponent. I'll have some footage of some duels and stuff later where you'll see a pretty legendary moment, if I do say so myself, where I was actually able to use that heavy block parry on a Warden Zone attack because I read him so well. But in general, charging your attacks is very risky, very punishable. Don't do it too much. So going back to some duels here and going back to the light shield bash into light, as you can see, this is what I meant by the inconsistency. Multiple times that I try to shield bash him, there's distance between us, and it actually pushes him out of range. There is no confirm. Compare this to the headbutt into light from the Warlord, for example. So the rest of this video is going to be basically me fighting this Warden. But going back to what I mentioned earlier, the most important skills that you can develop as a Conqueror player are definitely going to be reading and prediction. Your kit is predominantly oriented around mistake punishment, which is somewhat ironic considering how easy it is to punish your kit in the first place, as we covered earlier. Charge attacks are extremely susceptible to guard breaking. Your ability to parry is extremely hindered by your inability to feint, and most of your shield bash abilities are fairly easily punished with proper dodge timings. This leads to difficult situations in higher echelon PvP against skilled players. I believe that the root cause of this is the Conqueror's kit focus against punishment of heavy attacks predominantly, between your superior block really only netting you any profit against heavy attacks, and then the superior block parry mechanic only being able to return damage on people that use heavy attacks mostly, combined with the easy punishment from the guard broken charge attacks, a lot of your kit is inaccessible to you. Even with a reactive playstyle, the Conqueror has some glaring issues. Considering the usage of light attacks except for on confirmed damage, your superior block isn't really going to net you any priority in the course of combat. I find this ironic considering whenever I go onto the forums or the Reddit, everyone seems to consider the Conqueror some sort of turtling monster, when in reality, without the usage of heavy attacks, his defense is just as strong as everyone else's. So the difficulty comes when you cannot find a way to open up your attacks on faster classes. But this is where your blocking dodge mechanic that isn't even on your moveset really comes into play. And a quick thank you to Zenbear and Ranziel1. I actually posted this video once before, and this is an edited version. I did not know the existence of this mechanic up until the point that they mentioned it, and it would not be in this video without them, so thank you again. But against an enemy offensive, utilizing the blocking dodge into a light shield rush into a light attack will net you damage, compared to just using a standard dodge into light shield rush without actually dodging an attack, which is a lot easier to punish. So with that, these blocking dodge frames really give you the initiative, which is pretty much the main thing that you need to find as a Conqueror. That is the main challenge of this class, is finding that moment of initiative where you can seize the attack and push your advantage. That is what this class so sorely needs most of the time. So I didn't spend enough time on technique and whatnot. That will be in the second video. This has been mostly a critique of the class and sort of observing the raw pros and cons of his move set. We are about to come into the part of the video that I mentioned earlier with that superior block parry on the Warden's zone attack, so I'm going to go ahead and stop talking and let you just see what happens. This is pretty much a once in a blue moon event here, so enjoy it. Just goes to show you that it is in fact possible. The window is tiny, to say the least, especially difficult with those fast attacks. But the zone attack actually works out fairly well because they don't go into block frames directly after. So here's my conclusion. The Conqueror is in a rough spot because of limited damage application. His main damage combo, the heavy into medium shield rush, is easy to dodge and even punish once you get used to its timings. He has low damage without a charge attack, which in most situations they can't be utilized properly because of the inability to counter guard break. His light attacks deal the smallest amount of damage in the game, which is 12, tied with the Valkyrie at the moment. However, the Valkyrie has much more speed and is even getting a buff, even though she already has greater versatility and is capable of a good vortex chain with mix-ups. Whereas the Conk's light attacks are slow and can only be used reliably after a light shield rush, and even then, only one at a time, on the confirm, lest you get parried. In addition to this, the Conqueror cannot finish a low health opponent with a single uncharged heavy, making sealing the deal exceptionally more difficult than virtually every other class. He cannot feint traditionally, but can cancel with Omni Block. However, this is much slower and readable than all the other classes, and makes his parry attempts easier to punish by extension. The problem is that you're forced to play reactively to succeed, but his kit implements this poorly on many levels. I believe the Conqueror should have a heavy attack base of 25, up from 23, at least so he can finish off opponents with a guard break. For comparison, the Kensei's light attack value is 20 as it is. I believe the Conqueror's light attack should be buffed a little bit as well, considering their slow speed and you can only really apply one without being parried. He should also be able to reap the reward of a well-timed superior block parry attack. As it is, the window is seemingly much smaller than a standard parry, and even the attack is often still blocked if the maneuver is performed correctly. Most importantly, however, I believe that he should be able to tech guard breaks while charging his heavy attack. Otherwise, this ability is completely unviable and will not see much use. The charge attack needs a lot of work in general, considering that it feels like it was supposed to be the main attraction of the class, but at the moment is nearly useless in high-level play. Now, all of this being said, the Conqueror is still my favorite class in this game. It's the most satisfying playstyle to me, and I don't intend to stop playing it just because I think some things are less than viable. He still has plenty of potential. But with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I will be releasing another video in the future that will be more of an extensive actual guide for combat. This has been a little bit more of a critique. And thank you so much for sticking around this long and hearing my thoughts. It really does mean a lot to me. I've never really made a video like this before, but there will be more in the future. Speaking of which, go ahead and subscribe if you feel like supporting the channel. And better yet, follow me on Twitch, where I have a bit of community. We also have a Discord, and that is in the link down below. Anyways, stay well, or rather, slay well, brothers.